Good evening. I'm Teddy, and you are listening to Night Talk. Well, Hurricane Helene has exploded into a category 4 just hours before landfall. I'm going to be showing you some of the pictures and telling you about this oncoming storm. It's expected to be one of the largest storms in that area in a very, very long time. Please hit the like on your way in. We are live right now on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and X. So let's get right to it. Let me tell you what the latest is. Hurricane Helene has exploded into a category 4 hours from landfall in Florida. Helene closes in on the Gulf Coast. Hurricane Helene is a category 4. Let me just turn down the music in the background. I want to make sure that you can hear this. So this category 4 storm is tracking north toward Florida's panhandle, the eye, around which are the most dangerous and life-threatening conditions, is expected to make landfall this evening. You can track Helene's path with the CNN Storm Tracker. Right now, I'm tracking it on the NOAA, the National Oceanic website. It's a sprawling storm. Helene is one of the largest storms in the Gulf of Mexico in the last century, with a wind field that could span roughly the distance between Indianapolis and Washington, D.C. Its huge size will result in higher storm surge and dangerous winds that will stretch well inland. Widespread power outages are likely across the southeast. It's being called unsurvivable storm surge. How high the water rises above normal levels could climb to 20 feet along Florida's Big Bend. The National Weather Service is warning of unsurvivable storm surge in the Appalachian Bay. Widespread impact. While Helene has already prompted school and business closures as well as flight cancellations, officials warn that catastrophic winds damage from the storm could cause power outages that will likely last for days, if not weeks. In the last 52 minutes, Helene is already generating storm surge. It's going to get worse. Helene's violent winds are driving storm surge along most of Florida's western coast Thursday evening. The following are the current approximate surge levels for a few locations. Tampa Bay, East Bay, 5.5 feet. St. Petersburg, 5 feet. Clearwater Beach, 5 feet. Fort Myers, 5 feet. Cedar Key, 4 feet. High tides occur in the next few hours for many of these locations. With Helene expected to make landfall around the same time, some surge values could reach their worst case scenarios. Up to 20 feet of surge is possible in Florida's Big Bend region, where Helene will come ashore. Up to 10 feet is possible slightly farther down the coast, with up to 8 feet possible in the Tampa Bay area. Some stations could record record-breaking surge. 5 minutes ago, more than 500,000 customers without power in Florida as Helene barrels toward the state. More than 500,000 customers, again, are without power in Florida as Hurricane Helene inches closer to landfall Thursday evening, according to Power Outage US. There are 527,862 homes and businesses throughout the state experiencing an outage as of 8:33 p.m. Eastern. Extremely dangerous conditions, a catastrophic storm surge, and life-threatening winds are expected in Florida's Big Bend area, according to the National Hurricane Center. It's the worst case storm surge would push ocean 20 miles inland. 20 miles. This storm surge. Let me just show you this. You can see cars over the Georgia G. Tapper Bridge ahead of arrival of the Hurricane Helene in Port St. Joe, Florida, just today. Officials are concerned that Helene's massive storm surge will reach far inland. If you're out there, listen to your local news stations. The governor of Florida is telling all residents to be on alert. Many people have already heeded the warning and taken shelter further inland. I'm going to come out right now and just say hello to some of you who are joining me over on X, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. Shout out to everyone who is under the sound of my voice. We have a few of you on Run Tell That too, but the majority of you right now are listening live on X. Hello, everyone. I see some of you coming into the Bear Cave. Let me continue to give you the most recent updates. Again, Hurricane Helene explodes to a Category 4 just hours from landfall. I'm giving you live updates that are coming in from CNN. I'm also reporting, and you can see the visual right now. There is the satellite photo. You can see the colder weather cloud cover there. This storm, this hurricane, spans the width from Indianapolis, if you can imagine, Indiana, to Washington, D.C. Happening now. Live updates. The levee explains that legal change has prompted insurance companies to deny almost all claims. That's right. With Hurricane Helene barreling toward Florida, one public adjuster said homeowners in the state will be faced with new challenges in the aftermath of the storm. Ite Levy, who is based in South Florida and has more than 25 years of experience, said he has noticed a big change in the Sunshine State in the past year. Last year specifically, the new way lawyers can sue insurance companies is creating consequences for homeowners. What does that mean? Create consequences for homeowners. Well, Levy explains this legal change prompts insurance companies to deny almost all claims. He said he thinks this is an overcorrection to the industry, which will end up costing homeowners out of pocket. Law firms have been cut out. They're not able to charge statutory fees. So, all the lawyers he says that he's been working with stop advertising and don't handle claims anymore unless they're 100,000 and up. The attorneys were charging way too high of statutory fees and making a killing. This was draining the insurance companies and costing us higher rates. So there's so many things to consider, not just the danger of the storm, the surge that could go up to 20 plus feet, but aftermath of a hurricane this size, which is expected to hit directly the western side of Florida. There you can see it's coming in on, let me just tell you where that is. As I'm watching some of these storm chasers, threat of landslides and buildings collapsing is keeping Asheville Fire Chief up at night. Well, the threat of landslides and businesses collapsing due to compromised foundations is worrying Asheville Fire Chief Mike Casey the most as Hurricane Helene lumbers north. Direct messages have been sent to owners of about 2,400 homes and businesses in the city, warning them they are in imminent danger and should evacuate immediately. This was 22 minutes ago. Because more than 10 inches of rain has fallen in Asheville from a previous storm, the soil cannot absorb more water when the outer bands of Helene reach the city. That is what is being explained right now. When these saturated soil shift, it can take a building foundation with it, undermining the structure. As a result of their foundations being undermined and the shifting of ground, we're absolutely very concerned about building collapses and landslides, Cayas said. While he feels confident in his firefighters' ability to conduct floodwater rescues, federal search and rescue teams have been brought in to help in the event of a building collapse or landslide. This is significant. Good evening and welcome to Night Talk. I'm Teddy, and this is Run Tell That Too. I'll be right back. I'm back. So, if you are just now joining me, the breaking news: Hurricane Helene expected to make landfall in Florida as a Cat 4. Welcome. I'm Teddy, and you are listening to Night Talk. So, let me now turn to NBC to find out how they are covering this hurricane. Well, what we need to know right now about Hurricane Helene is it's an extremely dangerous Category 4 hurricane with maximum sustained wind speeds of 140 miles per hour, according to the National Hurricane Center. The storm was 60 miles west of Cedar Key and 90 miles south of Tallahassee at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, moving northeast at 24 miles per hour. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis said landfall is expected around 11 p.m. Landfall could happen between the Wakalua Jefferson County line and Taylor County in the state's Big Bend region, he said. Hurricane and tropical storm warnings are in effect across coastal areas of southern Florida. The National Hurricane Center said preparations to protect life and property should be rushed to completion. A storm surge warning is in effect for almost all of Florida's west coast, where surging waters described as unsurvivable could reach as high as 20 feet in places. A state of emergency has been declared in 61 of Florida's 67 counties, and several are under evacuation orders. Just 5 minutes ago, Hurricane Helene is slightly stronger as the eye of the storm makes its way toward Florida's Big Bend region, according to a 9 p.m. Eastern Time update from the National Hurricane Center. Maximum sustained winds are now at 140 miles per hour, 10 miles per hour higher than they were an hour ago. A storm becomes a Category 5 when maximum wind speeds reach 157 miles per hour. So, 10 miles higher than they were just an hour ago. Maximum sustained winds are now at 140 miles per hour. Again, a storm becomes Cat 5 when maximum wind speeds reach 157 miles per hour. More than 600,000 customers are already without power in Florida. At 9 p.m. Eastern Time, more than 600,100 customers were in the dark, according to the website poweroutage.us. Hurricane Helene is a powerful Category 4 storm that is expected to make landfall later tonight near Florida's Big Bend. Let me take a look. There is an update coming in right now. 1 minute ago, Coast Guard rescues man and dog from water off of Sanibel Island. So, a man and his dog were rescued today when the man's 36-foot sailboat started taking on water, the U.S. Coast Guard said in a post on social media. The Coast Guard's Clearwater Air Station saved the two about 25 miles off Sanibel Island, Florida. A photo posted by the U.S. Coast Guard Southeast showed a man and a dog both appearing to be wearing life jackets, floating in water, and a helicopter overhead. So let's look at this map tracking Hurricane Helene's path, forecast, and status. Let's see if I can move this one over. Hold on for one moment. We'll get another map. This will be from NBC, tracking Hurricane Helene's path. Let me do this. Hang on for a moment. This is fair use commentary. This is for education, news reporting right now. So, taking a look at this path of the storm, you can see Hurricane Helene, Category 4, location 65 miles west of Cedar Key, Florida. It's supposed to go all the way inland. You can see all the way north to Nashville, Tennessee, when it finally moves further north. Look at that. The path of the storm. Let me take a look at some of your comments right now as we follow this storm. Yes, I see Jennifer out there says, glad they were rescued. But what are you doing on a sailboat when you know this is coming? Good question. Your friend texted you and said his power is back on, at least for now. Fair use commentary for education, criticism, news reporting, and entertainment purposes only. Give me a moment. I will be right back as we are watching the path of this storm. Well, we are at the bottom of the hour. It is 9:30 p.m. Eastern time where I am. But in Florida right now, off the Gulf, you can see it. Hurricane Helene has exploded into a Category 4 and is expected to make landfall tonight around 11 p.m. You can email me right now at Unwind with Teddy. This is Night Talk, and it's Hurricane Helene. That's what is the news tonight. If you're in that area, the governor is saying for everyone evacuation orders where you can take shelter. It's dangerous. The surge that's expected to come inland and stretch far within inland can go up to 20 feet. It's being called unsurvivable. They are asking any residents who have stayed behind to write their name, their identity on their arm and their leg. This is how dangerous this is expected to become when it hits. Okay. So, again, for those of you who are just now joining me and looking at this live picture that you see in front of you of the eye of Helene making its way toward Florida right now. Let me see if I can just pull up.
Chad, first of all, what is the latest on this?
130 miles per hour. It did ramp up a little bit over the past couple of hours, but...
All right, so that was Chad Myers, the meteorologist. That was updated at 8:56 p.m. Let me see what I can find that's more recent. Once again, Helene has closed in on the Gulf Coast. Hurricane Helene is a Category 4 as it tracks north toward Florida's panhandle, the eye around which are the most dangerous and life-threatening conditions, is expected to make landfall this evening. Helene is one of the largest storms in the Gulf of Mexico in the last century, with a wind field that could span roughly the distance between Indianapolis and Washington, D.C. Its huge size will result in higher storm surge and dangerous winds that will stretch well inland. Widespread power outages are likely across the southeast. Storm surge, how high the water rises above normal levels, could climb to 20 feet along Florida's Big Bend. The National Weather Service is warning of unsurvivable storm surge in Appalachia Bay. Helene has already prompted school and business closures as well as flight cancellations. Officials warn that the catastrophic wind damage from the storm could cause power outages that will likely last days, if not weeks. So let me find out what is the latest with the newest updates that have been posted 1 minute ago. Here's where Helene is expected to make landfall. Dangerous Category 4 Hurricane Helene is racing toward the Florida's coast, and the center of its eye is about 40 to 50 miles from Big Bend region. Half of the hurricane's eye must cross land for landfall to be declared. Helene will likely make landfall in the 11 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 p.m. Central Time hour. Let me just show you this weather map. See if I can get this up. The latest. Let's see. I want to show you the map that I'm looking at. Hang on one second. All right, so that is one map. Hurricane Helene's center, as seen from the Tallahassee radar, that was at around 9:30 p.m. And then this is the NBC's latest map. You can see the track of the storm, path of the storm. Winds are at 140 miles per hour, movement northeast at 24 miles per hour. 65 miles west of Cedar Key, Florida, right now, the location as a Cat 4 hurricane. That's a satellite photo and more. Let me come out and see if there are any comments. I'm checking my mail. Again, you can email me right now at unwindwithteddy@gmail.com. Typically at this time of the evening, I come on. It's Night Talk. I play music. We talk about the latest news. And right now, it's all about this Hurricane Helene along the Florida coast there in the west, near Tallahassee, Big Bend area. Let's see. One of my listeners says, looks like Helene will hit the entire East Coast unless it shifts. I see you out there on Instagram, also on Facebook. That was Patricia. Hello to Joanne, to Vicky Black, Baby Juju, my moderators tonight. I see Jennifer already chiming in with comments. Glad your friend is safe. Ms. Von 50 has joined me in the bear cave. I see Jinx 220, loud and clear. Great. We've got Gia Papaya, as always, joining us here in the bear cave. Prayers to everyone affected by the hurricane. Please be safe. Again, all my listeners over on X tonight, Run Tell That Too, Instagram, Twitch, and Facebook. A little bit more music, storm surge, weather, anyone? Yeah. So I'm back doing a little reading of the news. There is other news, but right now, the big news is Hurricane Helene. It's expected to make landfall right around 11 o'clock tonight, about an hour and 11 minutes from now. That's Eastern time, with water surge, up to 20 feet. Category 4, picking up wind speed just in the last hour alone. So let me give you the latest update as of 4 minutes ago, now 5. Quoting, we're probably going to lose a lot of lives. That's coming from the National Hurricane Center. Official says Hurricane Helene will likely be a historic inland flooding event and a deadly one. That's according to Jamie Roan, Deputy Director of the National Hurricane Center. He told that to CNN's Anderson Cooper tonight. Historically speaking, 50% of lives lost are in a setup like this. Projected to be a lot of lives lost. Rome said, referring to flooding in inland areas, we're probably going to lose a lot of lives. This setup with this much flooding potential. He added, if our worst case scenario materializes, some areas of Florida's Big Bend will see a 15-foot storm surge. Unless people live in a 2-story home, they can't escape it vertically, Rome said. If they try to leave a home in those conditions, the water is not just coming up gently, it's coming up with great force, huge waves on them. There's debris in the water. It's just not a survivable situation. Well, as this storm makes its way up to Georgia, residents there should be prepared to go long periods without power, he said. Heavily forested areas will likely see many trees down and in turn widespread power outages. People have got to be ready to take care of themselves for several days without power, he said. Dangerous Category 4 Hurricane Helene is racing toward Florida's coast, and the center of its eye is about 40 to 50 miles from the Big Bend region. Half of the hurricane's eye must cross over land for landfall to be declared. Again, Helene will likely make landfall in the 11 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 p.m. Central Time hour. Some of your comments, yes, prayers up for the families who are watching this, who live in, various states far away, and they're thinking about their loved ones who perhaps live in a single story home where they can't go, vertically as this storm approaches. Gia Papaya says, wow, this storm is gonna create chaos. Could panic. There are always, a handful of people who decide to ride out the storm. This is not that kind of storm that one should be riding out. If there's any way in the next hour that someone can evacuate to higher ground, more inland, safely, then they are asked to do so, evacuate. Because if storm surges reach 15 feet in Big Bend, that area, it's not going to be safe for at least vehicles on the ground to do any rescue. No. Even if a person has, a small boat, watercraft that they can try to, get away from the storm, they won't be able to survive, not with waves that high. And with winds that strong, will just simply, get flipped. I'm talking about, like the small canoes and those kind of craft, even larger watercraft, boats. They're getting, tossed about like toys right now, especially if they're not, really, tied down. And even if some are tied down, they can get away. They can. Again, we are live right now on Instagram, X, Twitch, Facebook, and here on YouTube. You can email me at unwindwithteddy@gmail.com. If you are watching live right now on X, go ahead, follow me so that you don't miss out on any breaking news. That would also go for those of you here on YouTube. Follow me on Run Tell That Too, Unwind with Teddy, I Natasha the Machine, and D for Danielle. So let me take a look at other news that is certainly showing up after this story. Eric Adams faces pressure to resign now as New York Democrats plot next moves. Resign. Eric Adams faces pressures. I watched him He came out of his home and he was surrounded by a number of people. And a legal expert, um, various, are giving commentary right now about this situation there in New York. Well, the mayor is saying, I don't think it's a slam dunk. No, that's a legal expert. Eric Adams is saying he's going to fight these charges. New York City Mayor Eric Adams, the rank and file transit cop who rose to the city's most powerful office, is no longer the master of his political destiny. Indicted on federal corruption charges unsealed Thursday, Adams' fate will be decided in the upcoming days and weeks as the defiant mayor dials up his attacks on prosecutors who say he brazenly stole from city he promised to secure. Well, Adams maintains his innocence and says he is focused on being mayor. Whether he remains in the job, however, is an open question. Interviews with nearly a dozen Democratic operatives and donors, lobbyists, and city officials yielded a picture of a mayor on the brink and a city government near paralyzed by weeks of upheaval. Rumors surrounding the mayor's assorted legal troubles, including 4 ongoing federal investigations, dominated New York political chatter over the past weeks, with leading operatives openly speculating about when, not if, the charges would be brought and how Adams would respond. Quoting, I always knew if I stood my ground for New Yorkers that I would be a target, and a target I became, the mayor said on Wednesday night after the New York Times first reported on the incident. Without directly addressing Adams' comments, Damian Williams, the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, insisted on Thursday morning, after he unsealed the indictment, that the charges were damning and unassailable. These are bright red lines, and we allege that the mayor crossed them again and again for years. Williams said at a news conference, that is the only reason we are here today. In his first round of post indictment public remarks, Adams also addressed rivals who said it had become unsustainable for the sake of the city's day to day operation for him to remain in office. My attorneys will take care of the case, Adams said, so I can take care of the city. But the work of running the city, which has lost its police chief and school chancellor just this month, have all but halted, one source close contact with agencies told reporters. Adams' closest confidants are scattered. His top formal advisor, Ingrid Lewis Martin, is not believed to be in the country, and his inner circle has been decimated. Adams' former chief of staff, Frank Carone, an influential Brooklyn attorney, met late Wednesday night with the mayor at Gracie Mansion. On his way out, Carone said Adams was not distracted, and when asked if public advocate Jamon Williams, the next in line to be mayor's office, was fit for the job, he stopped to make his point. Quoting, we have one mayor who was elected, Carone said. It's Eric atoms, but political rivals and a handful elsewhere, allies, have been bombarding Adams with calls to resign since shortly before news of his indictment began to spread. The 57-page indictment includes charges related to bribery, wire fraud, conspiracy, soliciting campaign contributions from foreign nationals. The alleged crime trace back a decade to Adams' time as Brooklyn Borough president. Yes. So much is going on tonight. But I'm glad that some of you are here with me. It's 10:04. Hurricane Helene, expected to make landfall in less than an hour. So I'm reading right now, 4 minutes ago, Hurricane Helene's eye wall is starting to come ashore. It remains a violent Category 4 hurricane with 145-mile-per-hour winds as of 10 p.m. Eastern Time. That, according to the National Hurricane Center. Its eye wall, where its most ferocious winds are located, has started to push over the coast in Florida's Big Bend region. That's an aerial view of a house on the shoreline ahead of arrival of Hurricane Helene's Alligator Point. It's in Florida. You can see a woman is filling up her gas ahead of the landfall. Well, that was earlier. I don't think anyone's out there doing that right now. That's a snapshot or a photo of a capsized boat washes ashore as Hurricane Helene churns offshore. You see, it's just almost capsized. Here's some more photos. That's in the Tampa Bay area. Well, that was earlier during the day. Now the surge or the storm, as it's getting closer, the waves and the surge is getting higher. It's going to be a dangerous landfall. High winds, powerful storm, power outages, loss of life. Stay safe out there. Vicky says I have family in Tampa. Are you in touch with them? Are they okay? Yeah. Good night to some of you. I'm going to be ending this broadcast at 10:30. That's what my plan is, although the storm is expected to make landfall again as a category 4 storm or hurricane, I should say. People are going to be up all night. You know, some people covering this storm, the weather centers covering it. So we don't know what we will wake up to in the morning. The extent of this storm will not be, totally felt for weeks, months, even in some places, it could be years before all of the damage is repaired. Oh, Vicky, all of your family is in Florida. They say they are good. Great. Like, share, comment, subscribe right here on YouTube. Go ahead and hit the like.
Chad, first of all, what is the latest on this?
130 miles per hour. It did ramp up a little bit over the past couple of hours, but it did not go up between 7 and 8 p.m. Now, normally, Anderson, we get these updates every 6 hours and a new track and all that. But when a storm gets very close, the Hurricane Center does it every single hour. So here's what we see. Here's what we see. Here's what the Hurricane Hunter just found. So we're ramped up to 130. That is the bottom end of a Category 4, but it is a major hurricane, and it has arms all the way into Central Florida. It's going to go all the way with a hurricane warning to Macon, Georgia. It would take 3 hours to drive there from Apalachicola to Macon, and that's how long this is going to have hurricane force winds.
So you heard that. Hurricane Helene explodes to Category 4 ahead of landfall. It is just about 10:30. In less than 40 minutes, it's expected to make landfall. Category 4 Hurricane. Biggest bear hugs go out to all the grizzlies. Yeah, I call my other bears. All of you joining me on social media, Instagram, X, Twitch, Facebook. You can join me in the morning for Messy Mocha right here on Run Tell That Too. Keep your bear phones on so that you don't miss anything. Also, check the community board for any updates. Again, you can email me at unwindwithteddy@gmail.com. But now it's time to say good night. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm Teddy. Be safe.